Oh, fuck my life. Oh,
Hello,
Hi.
everyone. Welcome to episode 187 of Lonely Gods. I'm your host, David, and I'm joined here, as always, by Kate.
Hi, Dave.
Hi,
I didn't
Kate.
realize the button was live.
I hit the button. I don't know. I think any
audience and also Doctor Who.
any episode that starts with "Oh fuck my life," I think is pretty good.
Well, yeah, okay. I mean, kind of. So,
This is an interesting week. We actually have, despite having like 3 hours worth of Doctor Who to talk about, we have a lot to talk about.
excuse me, 3.5.
I don't know. Those episodes aren't half an hour each, so I think
fucking whatever. You're gonna be the guy that's like, actually, The Sopranos is 50 minutes. It's like, shut up. I hate you.
So let's just start off. Do we have any Doctor Who news, Kate? You said there's Big Finish news.
Yeah, there's a couple of interesting big finish points to fucking address on our fucking stupid fucking show. So the first off, they have announced 10th Doctor Adventures Volume 3, which is great because I was not expecting an announcement for a third one this soon after the second one came out last fall, because David Tennant's a busy guy, popular guy, not always.
We do love David Tennant both as the Doctor and just in general.
Definitely, but you know, he's an in-demand actor, so you know, making time for Big Finish can be difficult.
He just had an HBO show called Camping that's supposed to be good.
Cool. Anyway, so they've announced that Volume 3 will be back to Donna, because Volume 2 is Rose, and not only Donna, but her entire family, including Wilf, which is very, very welcome.
Well, I mean, do we care about anyone in her family other than Wilf?
No, but they've been using Sylvia a lot
I don't even remember who that is.
That's like, I think that's her stupid mom.
Whatever.
Yeah, basically.
Everyone's mom usually sucks.
Basically, yeah. Well, like, I don't know. I like Jackie, but
Jackie's super. Like, Jackie's great, but the whole point of Jackie is she's really fucking annoying. Like, that's literally her character. Like, it's good. Like, she's a good annoying, but it's still annoying.
Well, I think part of it to me is just like my best friend in high school. Like, his mom was like basically her. So, anyway, so yeah, Wilf's cool. I mean, yeah, in like the Doctor Chronicles. They've been doing with like stand-ins and fakes and Nick Briggs and stuff. They've been using Sylvia Noble for some reason, and I think she might have done some short trips or something. I don't know, but oh, actually, speaking of short trips, apparently we're getting a 12th Doctor short trip next year.
Ooh!
I don't know who will be reading it. I would be. I mean, it's not going to be Capaldi, obviously.
I want it to be Capaldi because Capaldi's. I mean, I love Tennant, but he actually might be my favorite New Who Doctor. He's really awesome.
No, I agree. He didn't always get the best episodes, but he's a great. Well, we say about all the Doctors basically, but he's a great Doctor. But I mean, I imagine if it was Peter Capaldi reading it, they would not have used him to read a short trip. They would have recorded something full cast.
That's true.
So I would guess probably maybe we might be looking at Michelle Gomez doing it because she's already doing Big Finish. Maybe Alex Kingston.
I don't want either of them to narrate a short trip. It should be Clara or Bill.
Me neither. It should be Clara or Bill, but I mean they're not going to get fucking what's her face,
Jenna Coleman.
You're not going to get Jenna Coleman, and
what is she doing?
I don't know, but apparently she's being popular somewhere, I guess. But I mean, Pearl Mackie, maybe. I don't think anybody cares about Pearl Mackie, to be honest.
I mean, I really liked. I know you had some issues, but I really liked Bill.
I liked Bill when she wasn't being stupid. And one other thing that I kind of was disappointed with Bill is that, I mean, and granted, this is not the fault of the show, but before Bill was introduced, the rumors were that Bill was going to be from the 80s. And I thought that was a cool idea to have a companion from a different era that wasn't just the modern English woman being sassy. And when we picked her up, she was the modern English woman being sassy. And I was like, okay.
I mean, she was a little better than that, but yeah.
Well,
she was a lot better than that. There were some downs, and I mean, again, I liked her more than you did, but there were.
I just felt it was a missed opportunity because the rumor is more interesting than the show. It was like,
yeah,
you know. So I mean, because some of the best companions like Jamie or Leela are people from the fucking Stone Age. Have no idea what the fuck's going on. So, but anyway, so yeah, but I mean, the thing is that River and Missy are already in Big Finish. So I mean, and I imagine if they had got somebody else, they might have made a big stink over it. Maybe they're reserving that for a later announcement, because the new story wasn't about the 12th Doctor short trip specifically. It was just kind of the overview of the coming year's worth. So
okay.
I guess we'll see. And lastly, speaking of next year and speaking of the 5th Doctor, so they've announced the opening trilogy for the monthly range next year, which, as is tradition by this point, will be a 5th Doctor trilogy, and they're going to be bringing back Chameleon.
Oh God, why? I mean, I say
that was my response too, but at the same time, I feel like Chameleon did not work on the show, was a complete waste of time.
We have a story this week where Chameleon comes back, and my first thought was, as soon as Chameleon showed up, I thought Chameleon was gone already.
Chameleon is gone already, and I forgot that happened, but it doesn't matter. But anyway, what I was going to say is that Chameleon didn't work on the show at all, given the technology, but given the properties of Chameleon, I think with good stories, it could work on audio, and it could be something of a redemption for the character, because given the shape-shifting nature, you could have different actors coming in, you could put them in different situations, you don't have to worry about the fucking clunky robot mannequin not working, you can actually do things with them. And I mean, to a lesser extent, we've seen that with K9, where, you know, in the audios, K9 can do all kinds of things, and on the show, K9 has problems with small bumps, so...
I mean, the Chameleon only can go up because literally on the show, he was a nothing character. There was never any defined personality. He decided to become good or whatever, but that was literally it. And then we never saw him again. When he showed up, he was just a robot having issues. Period.
Like IRL issues, not in the show issues.
Well, both. I mean, there were issues in the show too. But there was nothing there. There was no character. It was just a robot that changed shape. Period.
So that's why, like, on the one hand, reading that announcement, I was like, number one, why? But number two, they have kind of like, they got a bit of a blank canvas here. Like, if they can pull out, you know, the old Big Finish pixie dust and make this thing work, they can do pretty much whatever they want with him. Because the only thing that we know is that he blows up in Planet of Fire, and that's it. Between King's Demons and that, like, you can do anything you want. Anything.
We'll see. So
we'll see.
You ready to talk to our Doctor Who update? We haven't had one of these in a long time because you caught up.
I did catch up. Yes.
Till now.
John and I have made our way through all of the master plan, and we're currently working on the massacre. And John is kind of taken aback at how miserable season 3 is.
So,
meanwhile,
so I watched the premiere of the 13th Doctor.
Yep.
Technically, I mean, fuck the numbers. It's 13, whatever.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like
there's other numbers. It's stupid, Kate.
They don't count war as a number. For like in the marketing, it's still, you know.
Even though with
bump everybody up
Capaldi was technically Doctor number 1, right? Because they reset the cycle.
Well, if you want to be really technical, Capaldi was 14.
No, I know, but if you're going in number of regenerations, Capaldi was number 1 because when Matt Smith regenerated, they reset the cycle and he became
Matt Smith didn't regenerate. Matt Smith fucking exploded and Dragon Ball energy Dalek ships out of the sky and burst like a fucking firecracker. It was the most retarded thing I've seen in my life.
That episode is both equally amazing and really fucking stupid. It's great. It's great.
Terrible. Anyway, so the nurse.
Anyway, so yes. I watched Jodie Whittaker's season premiere, and it's good. It's a good solid episode of Doctor Who. There's a pretty good joke about the Doctor not realizing she's a woman because she regenerated and all that.
Why would she not realize that?
Because she I mean, it makes sense with the Doctor's character. Like someone calls her ma'am, and she's like, ma'am, and she's like, oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I would have been confused if it was a total surprise because at the end of Capaldi's last episode, she said, "Oh, brilliant," And
it's not a surprise. It's like an oh, slip the mind. Oh, that's right. I'm
all right. I forgot. Yeah, I know that feel.
It's it was a solid episode. It's one of those ones. So there's two things about the season I'm very iffy on, because apparently the theme of the season, and this is talking to friend of the show, Jamie, not Jamie that's been on the show, other Jamie, British Jamie.
Oh, yes.
Apparently the theme of the season is overcoming fear and stuff, which I did not get at all. And I don't think that works as a theme for the season.
I've never heard that. I don't know where he's getting. I mean,
I don't know.
To be fair, friend of the show, Jamie, not Jamie, who's been here, has Jamie from the Village has has said that he felt that Doctor Who's under Moffat was aimed at children, and I'm like, I don't really think so.
I don't get that either. He also said this was more family friendly, and I was like, I didn't see that at all. There was a lot of death and murder and like adult,
which is perfect because we love Misery. But
we do love Misery. That's why when we get to Caves of Androzani, we're gonna like it so much.
Androzani.
Shut up.
Hey. Call yourself a Who fan.
Anyway, I mispronounced made up words. Shut up.
You mispronounced and made up nonsense.
Anyway, but I liked it. I do.
Wait, what was the other thing you were iffy on? You said the fear.
I don't like the idea of overcoming fear and this being a season with completely new monsters, because if the theme is overcoming fear, we should be dealing with classic Doctor Who monsters because otherwise it's no longer the Doctor's fear. Like, that is how we get over the Doctor's fear is dealing with.
I mean, is it the Doctor's fear specifically, or just fear in general, though?
If it's fear in general, it's the companions and stuff. I don't know. I
am fine with giving the classic monsters a rest and trying new things, though. I mean, that's how you get things like the Sontarans or Cybermen. Cybermen came about while the Daleks were, not used for years.
You want to hear something weird?
Yes.
So this season, this premiere was totally basically a Doctor Who version of the Predator, except the trophies the Predator took were teeth that they put on their face, and it was weird.
Okay.
In a good way. Yeah. It was a decent episode. I think you're going to enjoy it. In the generic Doctor Who sense, like, it's not going to blow your mind, but you're not going to hate it either.
Well, I mean, what I've seen, like, what I've seen online for seems like general fan consensus from the people who are not raving lunatics on one side or the other of the obvious debate, is that basically what you said is that both episodes so far have been solid, but nothing spectacular.
Yeah, I haven't seen the second one, but yeah, the first one for sure. Like, I think Jodie Whittaker was a strong cast as the Doctor. Like, if you're going to cast a female Doctor, she's doing a really good job so far.
Just bring Romana back. Oh my god. Like, you don't have to do this.
Yeah, I mean, we're the only ones who would probably watch a Romana TV show. But like, I
don't know. I mean, Sarah Jane did really well.
But that was for kids.
Yeah, so what? People still watched it. Grown-up fans watched it. Grown-up fans liked it better than Torchwood a lot of the time.
That's the only Doctor Who spinoff that did okay. Torchwood lasted, I mean, technically 4 seasons, but they were two real seasons, a mini series, and a weird fucking spinoff that like is barely acknowledged.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Sarah Jane got 5, and then Class was killed in its cradle. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
K9 and Company was a pilot.
Yeah, but I'm not saying make a Romana show. I'm saying bring Romana back into the show.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. We'll see. We'll see whatever they do.
I don't know.
I don't think they want to do that because that's too much on history. It's an executive saying that's asking too much. I know it's not asking.
It's really not.
It's not.
All you have to say is, "Oh, this is my friend Romana. She's from Gallifrey. We're both Time Lords, and we're gonna go have fun."
Yeah,
like,
but I liked it. I'm positive. I'm ready to watch the rest of the season. I think
that's good. And again, I don't want people listening to this to get me wrong. I would rather this be good than not. I'm not pulling for it to fail. I just worry that it will be, and I'm waiting to see.
Fucking stupid.
Huh?
The internet's fucking stupid.
It's very fucking stupid, and television writers are even stupider. if you can believe that.
Oh, no,
so
no.
I mean,
seen lots of TV.
We've seen lots of TV, and I mean, I can always tell when the writer is patting themselves on the back for being as clever and as woke as they are, and it's like, man, just write the story. Don't be a fucking asshole. So, I mean, hearing this, I mean, it makes me cautiously optimistic because, I mean, you know, I would rather like things, but I'm kind of going to wait till the end of the season and see, because I think I might have mentioned this last week, but I did hear rumors about like doing like a Rosa Parks episode and like an Indian civil strife episode. And I'm going, oh no.
I'll let you know. You know me, we're definitely close enough friends where I know if you'll like it or not. And based on the first episode alone, I think you'll like it, but I'll definitely fill you in as I watch more.
For sure. I mean,
of course, I want this to be a season where you were very trepidatious because of the internet being stupid, but I want it to be like, oh, well, that was, you know, unwarranted and it's fine, and you're going to enjoy yourself. That's what I want.
For sure, and that's what I'd like too. But I will again reiterate: it's not just the internet being stupid; it's TV writers also being stupid.
Yes,
the fact that the BBC is stupid.
I consider that part of the internet now. It's all the internet, Kate.
Yeah, the political climate is stupid. And thirdly, Chris Chibnall, the new showrunner, I don't know how he's going to do as a showrunner, but to be frank, the Doctor Who and Torchwood episodes he wrote aren't very good. So,
but you know what? I don't know the examples anymore. I know you brought them up, and I've agreed with you. But I would also say, of course, also where Jodie Whittaker is coming from with him, Broadchurch is fucking amazing. Like, it's one of the best modern shows I've seen. It is so good. It's not Doctor Who at all. It's so serious and so dark.
But that's the thing, is like Doctor Who is Doctor Who. You know, right. Skills on another show don't necessarily because like Chris Chibnall wrote episodes of like Life on Mars and stuff. Life on Mars is a great show. Doesn't mean he's suited for sci-fi.
I would also totally counter with Stephen Moffat wrote some of our favorite episodes of modern Doctor Who.
Oh no, maybe it's an inverse for sure.
His era of the show was not great.
No, well, I mean, I would say things definitely picked up with Peter Capaldi, but fuck me, Matt Smith. Like Matt Smith, especially towards the last like half of his tenure, was such a slog.
It was literally everything everyone complained about Star Trek ever about, with like the sci-fi, like the techno babble and just like the bullshit. That was all Doctor, but it was done with a smile in Doctor Who. So like Tumblr ate it up.
Yeah, and that's part of the thing, is it kind of became this like it's like that whole like fairy tale believe and clap your hands kind of thing,
magical, like realism.
Well, it just felt like that whole. I mean, that's just a hallmark of Stephen Moffat. And in a single story, you know, it works. When he's spreading himself over 2 shows and, you know, 15 episodes a year, it starts to be like something that tastes too sweet to the point where it's gross. That's what Matt Smith became, unfortunately. It was like this autistic shithead flapping his hands around. And
it wasn't until Capaldi that it finally centered itself.
Yeah, well, I wonder if it has not just Capaldi, obviously, because I can't imagine Capaldi playing things the same way Matt Smith did, but I have to wonder if it has something to do with the fact that Sherlock was kind of on slowdown by that point, and maybe we could be a little more focused.
Because like Heaven Sent is, I sent you that, I sent Kate an article, I don't know, it was like a month ago, that was like the top 20 episodes of new Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. And like we agreed with pretty much all but like 4 of them, and the top 3 were Blink, Midnight, and Heaven Sent, and I totally agree with those.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, again, we'll see how Chibnall's like producer role contrasts with his role as a writer, because you know it's a different skill set, as we saw with Stephen Moffat.
Yes.
So we shall see.
All right. So moving on. Let's
I think though, like if you're gonna rank New Who, like Heaven Sent is the correct answer for number 1. So
like I'm torn because I love Blink because of the horror aspect. It's a really effective, like creepy, scary episode. It's really well done. But like I think of Blink a lot because of the horror aspect. I think of Heaven Sent often just because of how fucking good it is. Like that is, I mean, we've talked about it a bunch of times on the show. The two things I love are like weird, surreal, David Lynchian type stuff and horror. And like those are those two episodes.
Well,
like,
I think yeah. I mean, it's like we're just like Heaven Sent, Blink, Midnight. Like those are all on the creepier side of things. I would add to that Empty Child, which is actually another Stephen Moffat joint, which is just a phenomenal episode.
Empty Child, so good. Because not only do you get the brilliance that is Empty Child, Captain Jack's in that episode.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
No. But yeah, Heaven Sent. Like you can never adapt Mist now. Doctor Who ruined that for you.
Oh, so good.
Anyway, okay, so let's get into our actual stories for this week because one of them is incredibly exciting. The other two are fine.
It's not fair.
It's not fair, but that's just how it shakes out. So we're going to actually, this order is going to be a little weird because technically the order is weird. We're going to start, of course, with the finale of our second Doctor Early Adventure box set.
Companion Chronicle box set.
What? It was?
Yes. We go through this every week, Dave.
But it's the second. I'm not gonna go fix the episode description.
It's the Companion Chronicles 12, the Second Doctor, Volume 2.
That's stupid.
It is stupid, but that's what it's called.
Okay, and because this is totally like a full cast production.
Well, I mean, I think even towards the end of the single Companion Chronicles, they were trending towards making them closer to full cast. But it's almost in a way that they've kind of given what the Companion Chronicles used to be and turned those into short trips. But
this is probably going to be shorter than most because this is a very light story. I think this was a story more concerned with being clever in its construction than fleshing out a full-length plot. I believe not necessarily. Like I'm saying that, and I sound super negative. It was not a bad story. It was just very okay, I thought. So,
yeah, maybe
starting off. I don't even. I'm vaguest on this. Of all the stories because I listened to this like a week and a half ago.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you.
I know. I listened to it super quick and I took forever to do the rest.
Well, yeah.
We're on Earth, right?
Yeah. This story follows one of the Vault team from Unit, Captain Matheson. She's going to South America to this Mayan whatever temple. There's a guy and holed up in the temple. He set all these traps. He's like a crazy ex-mercenary.
Well, he didn't just set all the traps. The traps were also set there from ancient times. Like it was a bit.
Well, yes, but he's added on to them. But anyway, so he's got this horde of technology.
And he's got when they finally meet up, he's got this piece of alien technology implanted in his chest that's both keeping him alive and stuck in this one location.
Yeah. But Matheson is there because she's been sent to make a deal with him to trade for this vial of plague virus that was, I think, left behind after the visitation with the London fire. So there is a Fifth Doctor connection there if that's the case. But anyway, so she wants to get that from him basically, and if she doesn't do it within a certain time frame, Unit's just gonna kind of just missile strike the place. Carpet bomb everything, but at the same time, she finds that the Unit in their possession of the vault have this recording of Zoe on her trip there with the Doctor, figuring out the temple puzzles, going over the temple, and at the end of the tape, apparently she dies. So then, near the end of episode 1, the TARDIS materializes, and out comes Zoe, and
which was
oh no, she's coming here to die now. Dun, dun, dun.
It's funny because I was very iffy on this. I was enjoying it, but when we hit to that point towards the end of episode 1, because literally we had a full episode with no TARDIS crew, no Doctor, no companions. It's just this Unit character and this dude stuck in the temple, and I was like, well, this is interesting. I always like when they try to do something interesting and mix it up a bit. I wasn't super captivated by the story, but again, it definitely was not like a bad, like boring, like super mediocre story. It was erring towards the side of decent, but
I wonder.
It's like a 52, not a 48.
I would rate it quite a bit higher than that. I liked it a lot.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if you and I are missing some context with this one,
Maybe.
because so we've met Matheson before with Tales from the Vault, the Companion Chronicle collection. We've listened to that with the Fourth Doctor. But after that, they did a couple more adventures with this crew. They did another companion chronicle called Mastermind, which is not a Doctor companion chronicle, but a Master companion chronicle. They've also done, I think they had a part in one of the big like multi-series crossover box sets. So I don't know if they're referring to stuff or this is building on things they introduced for the Vault team since their first chronicle, because we haven't listened to any of that stuff and I haven't, either. So, but anyway, I like seeing Unit beyond the Brigadier. I like that seeing kind of the global organization aspect of it. And I think that's interesting. I thought it was a good sort of two-person play between Matheson and the crazy Aussie.
You know what?
I like the way that they were trying to outwit each other with sort of just in terms of sort of like the psychology of the other person and the negotiations and stuff. So,
I completely understand where you're coming from, but the reason why I didn't care for the story as much as you did is specifically, I think, because of the setting. I think the story was pretty well done. Like, I don't really have any solid complaints about it, but my issues are, and this is, I feel like we've talked about this before with different Doctor Who episodes. Anytime we're in this type of setting, this like ancient culture, hidden temple, traps, and all that shit.
The Nickelodeon Temple of Evil.
I want Indiana Jones pulpy adventure. Like, that's what I'm going for, and that's not what the story is at all. Like, this is just a setting for this, like psychological kind of warfare type episode. Like,
you get a little bit of like jigsaw traps and
there's barely any. Like, there's one crucial moment with like a trapdoor.
Yeah.
And that's really, like, the rest of it's not really that important. The setting isn't as important. Like, I do like the idea of this guy stuck in this ancient temple that's tethered here because of this alien tech. Like, that's a super cool concept, but it doesn't really impact the story a whole lot other than to justify his existence as the adversary in this location.
Well, I understand that, although I will say that I wouldn't fault the episode for not being what you expected.
No. Yeah, this is totally a personal thing.
It never built itself as a thrilling adventure,
This is literally a personal thing. Like, this type of setting, that's literally what I want from the setting, and I don't think it's not that it wasn't that, and that means it's bad. It's just it wasn't that, and I didn't think the story overall justified the setting as it is. It wasn't a bad story, but I don't think it fully utilized the actual setting.
Well, maybe not the setting, but I felt that it really utilized the companion chronicle format quite well. Because, you and I have mentioned this even just, a little bit earlier in our discussion that, you thought this was an early Adventures box set. The companion chronicles have for quite a while been trending towards trying to make these things closer and closer to full cast. And, to me, I feel like the companion chronicles offer a unique opportunity for stories that are a little more conceptual, a little more intimate than you might get in your standard full cast. So I think that the two-person play format works really well with Companion Chronicle. One of the strengths of Companion Chronicles, because the original format of Companion Chronicles was the companion who also does the narration and a single guest voice.
Yes.
And so dialogues like this are, classic Companion Chronicles. It's basically what they're built to do. And I was happy to hear that return because, you know, it's one of the things that makes this series unique. And having said that, though, I also feel like it kind of failed to utilize the other big component of a companion chronicle, which is character introspection. The nature of the companion chronicles with the narration means that you get to kind of have an in-depth first-person experience with one of the companion chronicles. And with Ruth Matheson, you didn't really get that
at all.
And obviously, because of the nature of the story, you couldn't do it from Zoe's point of view because that would ruin the twist. So you had to rely on the dialogue alone. And I feel like it was good, but I feel like it could have been better if they had.
This story would have been more effective if Zoe didn't show up halfway through.
Yeah, I mean, because like the moment when she shows up, I think it's even is it the cliffhanger? The moment she shows up, I'm like, okay, that's interesting, because it's like, you know, for all of episode 1, you have this like 2-person head-to-head kind of
right.
You know,
well, except
and then you throw this like third element into it. I kind of go, oh, but then when they turn up, it's kind of like, oh,
this is that was both. It was both a like interesting plot development, and then it further cemented a problem with this type of storytelling, which we've seen. I mean, it's literally just a time and time again Doctor Who storytelling problem, which is the setup of this episode is, oh, Zoe dies here, except we know that doesn't happen.
Sure, but like, I mean,
it's we know the future, and that doesn't happen.
That's true.
It's a class. I mean, it's literally a problem with almost every episode of Doctor Who ever. Is we know the Doctor's not going to die. We know the companion's not going to die this episode. It's not a season finale. Like, that's not going to happen. And yeah, that's usually a suspension of disbelief type thing with any type of narrative. But
sure.
I think it works less in its favor in these type of audio stories where we're going backwards.
Yeah.
Like, we know this isn't Zoe's end. This is nowhere near Zoe's end. So like the question then becomes, they think Zoe's going to die. How does she not die? Because we know she doesn't.
Well, true. But I mean, I was just going to say, like, I think that question I mean, there are totally false Jeopardy cop-out bullshit cliffhangers on Doctor Who, and especially on audio, when like you say, we're going back in time, so it's not like they can't get rid of. We know they're not going to get rid of the Doctor, and there's no way they can get rid of Zoe. They can't actually kill her. But you know, I'll use the old adage they used to say about Columbo. It's not a whodunit; it's a how catch 'em.
Yeah, and
you know, because Columbo would show you the murderer in the first, you know, act, and so you can make that compelling in its own way. It doesn't have a twist or a surprise.
I do agree. I just feel like the story, and it's not like, overall, I do think this was a decent, like, enjoyable, not a high recommend, but definitely like, yeah, you know, listen to the story, you'll enjoy yourself and you'll have fun.
I feel like that's kind of the overall tone of the box set, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yes, but I feel like specifically with this story, they were trying to make it narratively suspenseful. Like we know Zoe's not going to die. Like, maybe the characters don't, but the story itself was hinging on like that. Oh my God, is she actually going to die here? Like, they were trying to hang too much of the suspense on that moment. I think not
that's
overall.
Fair.
Yeah, not like to its intense detriment or anything, but to a slight detriment, I believe.
Yeah, I think that could have been. I think that could have been mitigated if they had Matheson and Zoe kind of put their heads together to with the guy, instead of Zoe kind of just doing things on herself, by herself, and then not telling anybody. And therefore, because this is not from her POV, not telling the audience until the very end. But like I said, overall, I enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed the first half.
Me too. I did. Me too, and I definitely did.
I like exploring the world of Doctor Who outside of the confines of the TARDIS, and I appreciate this kind of being a throwback to classic companion chronicles and being dialogue based.
If anything, I really like exploring the other side of the Doctor Who world that we rarely ever see, which is like with I can't remember the guy's name, but just like this person who was adversely affected by alien technology, and like technically we would normally never hear of again. This guy who has this like thing embedded in his chest, like that's really interesting to me. Like the people who were adversely affected by all of the shit that happens in Doctor Who that we never really hear about again. Like, that's explore that more, please.
Or even like what's his nuts, the UFO guy from the Stockbridge episodes, where he's had this encounter with the Doctor before in the comics, and no one believes him. They think he's just like the village weirdo, and
that's why we love Wilf so much.
Yeah. So, definitely. So I mean, and I enjoy the unit Vault team. I look forward to listening to more of their stuff, because obviously it's not just Matheson, but it's actually he's mentioned in the story, but doesn't appear, which is Charlie Sato. Who was the rookie coming into the Vault in Tales from the Vault, and they're played by Paul McGann's companions from the TV movie that they're not allowed to use because of Fox. But it's nice that they still have managed to find a way to fold these actors into Big Finish, even if it isn't in new roles. So I enjoyed it, and so I guess we're wrapping up Tactics of Defeat, because this is the last of our 4-story box set. Kind of, what did you think overall?
It was pretty good. It was a very enjoyable, not quite too much to write home about, but like a solid, I'd recommend that if you've got the cash, definitely pick it up. You'll have a good time box set, but nothing like exceptional, I don't think.
No, I wouldn't say so. Do you have a particular favorite out of this?
Can you list me all the episodes again?
Well, we had the Curator's Egg, where the crazy guy wanted to beat all the dinosaurs. We had Dumb Waiter, where Leela showed up for no particular reason. We had the
Iron Maid.
Yeah, the Iron Maid, the Ghost in the Tank, and then Tactics of Defeat.
My favorite one was definitely the Curator's Egg, because it was so fucking weird.
It was
crazy.
Really fucking weird.
I really enjoyed that story, even though it wasn't that great. That was one of those. Curator's Egg reminds me a lot of something like The Web Planet, except not incredibly obnoxious and
not
irritating.
Horrendous.
Yeah, it's the type of weird, stupid Doctor Who that you can't help but love and recommend. This isn't great, but please watch it, because you have to see this.
What bizarre.
The fuck is this?
Yeah,
this guy uploads his brain into all of the dinosaurs.
I want to be all the dinosaurs.
No,
I don't know.
There's also little microscopic dinosaurs.
Yeah. That was fun. It was like, do you want to fight one T-Rex or 20 dog-sized T-Rexes? That was something.
It was something else.
I think, honestly, Tactics of Defeat is probably my favorite one out of this.
But that's definitely that's probably the best one, but I liked Curator's Egg better.
It is, yes, I will say Tactics of Defeat is the best one. Curator's Egg is the most memorable one.
We'll never forget that.
No, just overall, I feel like I enjoy that like you said, this box set. If you got the money to spend and you find it on sale, you'll have a decent time with it. I don't think anything about it you need to go out and buy right now, unless you really like the unit team.
It's a box set, so you have to buy the whole thing. Otherwise, that would totally be need to listen to Curator's Egg.
But I don't know. At $20, I don't know.
No, yeah.
But I do appreciate that, this Companion Chronicles set, they really tried, every story they try to do something different. Curator's Egg is insane. Dumbwaiter, they were bringing in a future companion, and Tactics of Defeat, they didn't even have the TARDIS team for most of the episode.
And then Iron Maid was timey-wimey goodness.
It was timey-wimey goodness, but Iron Maid is kind of the only one that was closer to standard Doctor Who.
Yes.
So I do appreciate. We said this about the fourth Doctor season this year. I appreciate the drive to do something different and not to just churn out more of the same thing over and over and over again. And obviously, Tom Baker has a bigger problem with this than Companion Chronicles, but
this is a really strong. This is 2 strong showings for Big Finish in a row. Neither.
At least in terms of effort, yes.
Neither of them were incredibly exceptional, but they were solid, which is, hate to say it, but is not usually a consistent theme amongst Big Finish Doctor Who. I can't say most of it is solid. I can say most of it's pretty good, but there are so many ups and downs, and just so many. There's a lot of mediocre stuff, and I don't feel like we ever really entirely hit that point with these 2 recent box sets. Like,
no, well, I mean, I think Big Finish is consistently pretty good. I think really the issue,
70%.
honestly, for a batting average for a sci-fi show that's turning out this many episodes, that's not bad.
No, that's not bad. It's just,
and I mean, I think at least during the Matt Smith era, maybe, Big Finish was probably doing better every week than the TV show was. So it's it's the effort, and I think that really the big problem, it's not that it's an issue of quality, it's more of the fact that a lot of these things, at least to me, can kind of just bleed into each other and be another Doctor Who story, and they kind of just amalgamate into this blob of audio. And I mean,
we're literally hitting that with not just the audio but the TV too.
Oh, sure. But like Tom Baker's episodes with Big Finish.
Oh my God,
it's such a problem with that, where it's just the most generic Doctor Who monster.
It's like, hey, you want some yellow cake with a very slight buttercream icing, because that's what we're gonna give you, and nothing else.
Yep, it's comfy nostalgia, just like you've seen on your TV. So again, like, I will, even though like it is, I appreciate a swing and a miss more than I appreciate not swinging at all, if that makes any sense.
I totally agree.
So even and yeah, Curator's Egg might be the worst one, but it's also the best one.
It's the best one. It is hands down the best one.
Weird. So weird.
That'll be referenced a lot, just like Giant Ants with People Eggs.
Oh, but absolutely.
In a much more loving manner.
So I definitely look forward to next year's box set, which I believe will be the first Doctor again, because they alternate years. And we'll see. I mean, the first Doctor one last year, like they did different stuff with that too, where they were kind of like weaving in Time War stuff through the whole thing. So I had the one with Steven and the Dalek, like carting it across the city, and that was really fucking fantastic.
That was really good.
Super good.
All right, so let's so technically we were supposed to move into Caves of Androzani, but instead we are going to cover Circular Time Part 4: Winter, because I think thematically it would be better to cover it first, because I think there's a lot more to talk about with Caves of Androzani too. Yes.
I mean, just by the nature that winter is half an hour. So I will say that if you're unfamiliar with both stories, like, I think winter really only works if you know Caves already.
Yes, and I totally agree, and thank you for putting that after we watched Caves.
Yeah, it's very much, it's a coda for the Fifth Doctor's life, basically.
Technically, winter is literally, basically, I would call it a hallucination, except it's literally not, because it's
more of like a spiritual mindscape kind of experience that the Doctor is having while he dies.
Where you would have the normal, like basically it's Jacob's Ladder, except instead of being this this incredible horror movie set in the dying moments of a man's life, it's the Doctor, his brain getting all fucked up, and also simultaneously actually revisiting Nyssa and her husband, which was cool. Like, it's a much more real, like, not realistic, but involved sequence that's literally happening in the last, like, 5 minutes of Caves of Androzani.
Yeah, basically, I mean, he even said that, like, this whole time we've been talking, you and I, Nyssa, we've, it's been seconds, because this takes place during, again, if you're familiar with Caves of Androzani, it's taking place as the Doctor is dying, while he's, carrying Perry to the TARDIS and collapsing inside and stuff. So
it's specifically when he collapses, right? Like,
well, because early on he says, "I feel like I'm carrying somebody. I can barely move."
Right. Yeah.
And then after that, he falls over in the house. So I feel like that's probably when he falls over in real life as well. So, yeah.
So I really like I don't really have a whole lot to say, I guess, about winter itself. I really like Circular Time.
I like most of it.
Overall, I feel like I really enjoyed it.
For those who are less familiar with winter since we've or for a circular time because it's been a while since we revisited it. It's spring, summer, autumn, winter. Spring was weird because it was like this rogue Time Lord that mutated himself into a bird man.
Yes, that was weird.
And that was weird.
Good.
Then we went to summer where Isaac Newton was a dick. And then we went to autumn where Nyssa totally fucked that guy.
That was the what do you call it? Cricket match, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was my favorite one, I think.
I agree. Yeah, that was my favorite too. And then we went to winter.
Which I think is I mean, on its own, it's probably not good, but
it's not a standalone story.
No, but when you take it with Caves of Androzani, like I really liked it. Like it only works in the context of you need to like watch Caves of Androzani and then immediately listen to this. Otherwise, it's completely ineffectual. Like that is
I would also
mostly to its detriment. Like I mean,
I would say that it still works in context if you also listen to all of Circular Time straight through, because then it's this nice little send off to the Nyssa and the Doctor's time together. Yes. But again, it's either way. It's very much a supplement. Like I've described it before. It's a coda to.
It's very
what's
weird.
Come before.
It's very weird.
It's very weird.
Because like there's literally a part where the Doctor's hallucinating that it's Adric and was it
Tegan
were babies that he was the father of, and he was married to
Perry.
Perry.
Old Perry. They were living in a farmhouse together during a blizzard.
Which is just like it's a really good moment. Like it's just this whole story. Like I don't really have a whole lot to describe about this story because it's kind of just this surreal. Like it's like 20 minutes of surrealness and 10 minutes of proper farewell Doctor.
Yeah, and I guess the other element of this is not just the Doctor losing his mind. It's also Nyssa and her husband Lizardi, who
finally meets this is the first time he meets the Doctor.
Yes, for Nyssa, because we've done the Richter syndrome or older Nyssa story arc before this, obviously, from the Doctor's perspective. For Nyssa, this takes place between her leaving and the Richter syndrome arc starting. So this, like, what happens in winter for her actually comes up during that arc. I think she spills some of these experiences. I think she mentions them to Tegan or something, and then like swears her to secrecy or whatever, so as not to like spoilers the Doctor. But anyway, so like Nyssa has been kind of like for consecutive nights has been like sharing this dream and uses this machine that her husband built to like lucidly walk around in your dreams, and they kind of discover that it wasn't Nyssa's dream at all. It was the Doctor reaching out to his friends for energy while he was, regenerating. And the Master, I guess, was the blizzard represents the Master's interference to try and cut him off from his friends, and so that he won't regenerate and he'll just die. And then Chameleon turns up as like a whirling ball of metal,
and
a woman. Like the last little few seconds of Chameleon's like psychic echo or whatever to like stop it.
That was weird.
It was very weird. And then the Doctor's got a coffin in his barn that he wants to climb into because it's a zero cabinet. It's all very strange. It's a lot of like, it's hard to really like linearly explain this, but basically the farmhouse is like the temptation to stay put, to give up wandering, to have the stable life that he's never had.
It's a false dream. Like it's something he thinks he should want, but he knows he doesn't, and the universe doesn't want for him.
For sure. And I liked that. I liked the touch of all this temptation. I like that one of the kids was Adric, because I think that's, at least for 5, that's like his biggest regret.
Yeah, and it's and again, it's using Adric well.
Yeah, and I think it says a lot about the way he saw Adric and Tegan, and that they're his children. I think that's very telling about the relationship that he had with them.
Are we saying goodbye to Tegan now forever?
Yes. I believe so.
I mean, we might have other Fifth Doctor stories where she shows up again, like later.
Oh yeah. But
chronologically, we're done. Yeah. She's not going to show up again like she did before. Like we're done.
Not that I'm aware of. No. So and then
do another companion, multi-companion special where she shows up.
She shows up to scream. I would have loved to see Tegan with Colin Baker because the arguments they would have had would have been wonderful.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about that. I can't wait. We're gonna get there.
So anyway, so yeah, basically like Nissa's husband has to burn the farmhouse down to like metaphorically like free him from that, whereas Nissa and the Doctor go into the woods and they meet up with the Watcher again from Legopolis, and then the Doctor kind of says goodbye, embraces the regeneration, and off we go. So yeah, I mean, like I said, this is not something that really stands on its own. This is a supplement to something else. But there's a lot of little winks and nods to both the past and the future. You know, it's almost a new series idea where the Doctor maybe doesn't really want to accept regeneration, doesn't want to accept the end of this incarnation. But it's a nice little farewell, and I like that it was done with Nyssa, because as much as I like Tegan, I feel like Nyssa was the best match for Peter Davison.
Yes.
And I think
Adric is a shit brick.
Adric is a shit brick. But you know, Tegan and Turlough, I love them both, but they're very, very tumultuous. And Perry,
Tegan and Turlough are very much their own people. Period. Yeah. They were like they learned and grew a lot from the Doctor, but they were always themselves from beginning to end. Whereas Nyssa was molded by the Doctor. Nyssa was not influenced; she was molded.
She was a partner.
Yes,
she wasn't. She
was more than just a companion.
Yeah, Perry. Obviously, you know, she definitely pulls her weight for sure. But like
the audios have been putting this crazy biology angle on her that the show never does.
Well, I mean, that is her backstory, is that she's a biology student. But anyway, even in the audio,
she's a bad student. She wants to give up school and go fuck boys.
That's true. But I'm saying, even in the audios, like Perry is a friend, obviously, as we'll see, a friend that he'd die to save, but she's not. They didn't have the same kind of relationship that he did with Nyssa. And even though we got sick of Nyssa after a while on audio, yeah, I think he was, like, it was just, she complimented him in a way that I don't think any of the other companions really did.
I mean, it was literally like close to the Romana level. Like, it was someone close to his intellect that really worked well with him.
So, I mean, if you're gonna bring back anybody to say goodbye, I mean, that was a great choice.
It was really well done.
So,
all right, so
that's Winter.
Our big story for the week.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say goodbye to Peter Davison and talk about the Caves of Androzani, which is apparently one of the most highly regarded regeneration stories of all time.
I would say I mean, the only one I can think of that would really come close is War Games.
Except the fact that I would agree, except for the fact that people are assholes about War Games and say that there's a whole other season that's in between that, and when two actually regenerates.
I don't take fandom lies into account when I rate things. I'm sorry. War Games is fucking fantastic, but
War Games is really good. But no, this is a truly spectacular story that, starting off, you wouldn't think it would be, because Caves of Androzani really starts off as an incredibly generic Doctor Who episode, but it evolves. Like, it's literally it's plots you've seen before. It's very familiar territory, but it is pulled off spectacularly.
Yeah, and you say it's generic, but I don't think I don't think that's really telling the entire tale. But
it's a mining corporation story where there's an evil corporate overlord and someone fighting against them. Like, it's structurally, it's a very generic story, but it literally does. It not only pulls it off spectacularly where you think it would zig, it zags. Like,
you say that, but the thing is that there's, I mean, on paper, yes, the very basic basic elements of this could be generic. However, those elements are given nuance, they're given depth, they're given detail, they're acted very well, and that brings them to life in a way that a normal run-of-the-mill thing would not.
I agree. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. Like fundamentally, you look at the plot outline, like the very basic plot outline for the story, and you're like, oh, I've seen this 10 times before, but you haven't, because it's done exceptionally well.
Yeah, and it reminds me, and this is maybe just like really fan wink high praise, but it reminds me of the Wrath of Khan, where it's one of those things where this is a no-win scenario. There is no way out of this without sacrificing something. Because from the minute the Doctor and Perry show up, they are fucked, basically.
Everyone's fucked. We've come in too late to the story. We're already boxed in.
Yeah. If the Doctor had turned up a few weeks ago, we might have had our happy ending, but now it's too late.
Anyway, so the Doctor lands. We're on Androzani, right? Or is that the other planet?
Okay, so there's two planets. It's like a binary planet. So there's Androzani Major and there's Androzani Minor.
Right. Okay. We're on Minor.
We're on Minor.
Is a kind of hellscape where there is a mine to, what is the drug called, Kate?
Spectrox.
Spectrox. There is a mine to harvest Spectrox, which is essentially a miracle drug that retards the aging process.
Yes. And obviously with something like that, there's a lot of conflict over it. There is a guy called Shahrazad Jack.
Jack. Just call him Jack.
Jack is a creepy mask and a bunch of robots that he built, and he's down in the tunnels causing fucking problems.
He looks like a weird BDSM monster.
He looks like Scorpius from Farscape, basically.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
I will send you a picture in the chat right now, and you'll go, oh, no one will be able to see it, but it'll be great.
I'll say, but I've never watched Farscape, so.
Yeah, but it's a look thing. It's not a...
It was the sci-fi one with the puppets I always meant to watch and never did.
But it's so good. If you like the Muppets, though, like...
I know. I just never did. Anyway, so so basically there is a conflict between Jax and the Androzani Major. So Androzani Major is essentially ruled by two factions: the elected government and the corporate. I mean, it's a lot like now, and the corporations. So the main bad guy is, I can't remember what his name is, but he is the leader. Morgus is the leader of this evil corporation who is trying to mine all of the Spectrox at the behest of the government. But he is the master manipulator. Not only is he leading a force to take out Jex, who has built an android army to fight against Morgus, because backstory, Jex and Morgus were partners. Morgus betrayed Jex, and he was horribly disfigured in an industrial accident.
Well, an industrial accident is understating it. So the under the surface of Androzani Minor, they have basically these mud eruptions of like superheated mud from like thermal vents, the same way that like a lava flow would happen. And basically Morgus kind of sort of deliberately put Jack in harm's way, and he got caught.
He gave Jax faulty equipment so that he could not detect the mud eruption, so it horribly disfigured him.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly actually when they show it.
It was supposed to kill him, but it didn't. Yeah. So now he has become his worst enemy.
Yes.
But not only that, but Morgus is also not only working with his company to attack Jax, he is also funding the gun runners that are helping Jax.
Yes, in exchange, basically because Jax Rebellion has
cut off the supply.
Well, not necessarily cut off, but like slowed the production down, and public unrest is starting to happen because people need their Spectrox. He's still supplying through the Gunrunner mercenaries. He's supplying Jack with weapons so that he can still get, because he pays them with Spectrox because he's basically sitting on the whole motherload. Yeah. So he can still sell it at a high price because he's the only game in town, basically.
But
so yeah,
not only that, there's also a very minor subplot that leads to Morgus killing the president of Androzani Major, where
he fell down an elevator.
He pushed him down an elevator shaft.
Fell. It was fine.
Shut up, Kate.
Totally innocent.
Invalidating a major plot point. There's also a very minor subplot where so Morgus has been closing factories on the east side of Androzani Prime and opening factories in the west side, but because he's
other way around.
No. It's east, and then he's opening them in the west.
No, it's the other way around. I literally watched it this afternoon. He said it the other way around.
Whatever. I'm pretty sure I read it because I double checked. I reread the whole plot summary. It doesn't matter. Either way, he's closing them on one side and opening them the other. But because he's closing them on one side of the hemisphere, he is having the people who now have had their work permits invalidated because he's closed their job arrested and then essentially used as slave labor so he does not have to pay them in the factories on the other side of the planet.
Yep.
So he's just a really giant fucking scumbag.
He's a giant fucking scumbag. So what we have here, we have the ruthless businessman in Morgus. We have the Gunrunners. We have the creepy monster man in the caves with his army of robots. We have an actual monster that lives in the caves. We have the official military.
Subplot is the actual monster.
Yes. We have the official military of Androzani working for the president who is fighting with Morgus, and into this fucking clusterfuck is where the Doctor and Perry just kind of waltz in.
And at the very beginning, the Doctor and Perry are exposed to unrefined Spectrox and are basically poisoned, and they have to find the antidote, which is the milk of the queen bat underneath the caves of Androzani Minor. That you can't go down there because there's no oxygen.
There's no oxygen, and even if that's not a problem for you,
there's a monster.
You still got to get past the
lava monsters.
There's a lava monster, but you still got to get past the Gunrunners, the androids, and the military. And none of them like the Doctor very much.
So immediately the Doctor is captured by the military, who think he is assisting because they find him with the guns from the Gunrunners. Because they ran into the Gunrunners, who I'm trying to remember, they got attacked by something, and they abandoned the guns.
No, they got attacked by the armadillo monster. Yes. There's an armadillo monster, and it's stupid looking, and it turns up like twice and doesn't matter, and it shouldn't have been here.
I mean, it's effective for its use, but it looks dumb. Like you get its point, but it looks dumb.
It looks dumb, and it's superfluous to the plot. Because of that, the fact that it looks dumb doesn't really matter because it only turns up once or twice, and it's like the plot does not hinge on it at all. It I mean, that if that listing of things of plot elements is
it was the opposite of normally what happens in classic Doctor Who, which is there is a big dumb looking monster that is crucial to the plot, whereas like this time there's a big dumb looking monster and it's tangential to the plot. It serves its point in 2 points, and that's it. It's just a force of nature, and it's not crucial.
Yeah.
So the Doctor and Perry are captured and considered traitors, and they're going to be executed because the military doesn't give a shit. They won't listen. They're like, again, and this is what I meant before, is there's a lot of elements of this Doctor Who story that are very stereotypical towards Doctor Who. They're classic, like unbudging military minds, super evil, corrupt businessmen. But then the story keeps throwing you for a loop. It keeps subverting your expectations, which is why it's so good. Like, the Doctor and Perry are rescued from their prison cells by Jex, who replaces them both with perfect androids. So they're the ones who are executed. And of course, the military discovers that because, like, you can't blow an android full of bullet holes and not realize it's an android. That would be stupid. The script is smarter than that.
Yes, and we should point out that this script is written by Robert Holmes, who was pretty much the top tier writer, instrumental in making Philip Hinchcliffe's era with Tom Baker what it was. And he'd been away from the show for a long time, but Daddy's home, bitches.
Yes, and but not only that, but the Doctor isn't just rescued by Jex to then fight on the oppressed, like correct side. No, like Jex is keeping the Doctor and Perry prisoner because in an incredibly creepy way, Jex is obsessed with Perry's Perry. He wants to fuck Perry, and it's really gross.
He's been down like, there so long. It's like, why don't you just build a Perry robot and fuck that?
It's not like I mean, this isn't even like modern Doctor Who. It's not like, normal TV super creepy serial killer, like rapist villain. Like it never goes quite that far, but there's something very unsettling about it.
It's like what would happen if Beauty and the Beast was for real. in a way, like instead of being a fairy tale, it's like, this is actually a creepy asshole and I'm kind of stuck here with him.
I don't ever get the sense like Jex would rape Perry, but
I don't think he would rape her either.
But he would make it very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
like he is.
He's the type of nigga that'll stand too close to you in the elevator.
This is a really good story. And one of the reasons I really like it so much is both sides are bad. There is no good side. Like it's not even gray. Like both of them are just black. Like they're both evil.
Yep. Jack is a bad guy. Morgus is a bad guy. I would even argue the military is a bad guy because they're willing to just execute people summarily with no fucking reason.
The leader pretends that he has morals. I can't remember what his name is, but he doesn't. Like he's totally okay.
Just Plink or something. But
he's totally okay just executing the Doctor with no justification because
even later on when Perry escapes with his lieutenant, he sees that she's dying from poisoning. He knows that.
He doesn't give a fuck.
He's like, I don't care. Get her strong enough to lead me to Jack. Beyond that, fuck it. Like he's just as much of a dick, honestly.
It's you know what the story reminded me a lot of?
What?
Earthshock.
Why?
Because it's just this really intense, dark story where there is no good way out. There is no happy ending solution. Like it's just everything's just fucked.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's why it reminded me of that.
That's fair. Yeah.
And so we move along. Morgus keeps getting and in an exceptional turn of writing, Morgus he is the almost borderline mustache twirling villain, but the story understands that, and he does not win. He does not it's not like he has everyone playing. He's not the puppet master. About what is like 2/3 of the way through the story, Morgus is betrayed because he kills the president.
Yeah.
And when he kills the president, is it the president's secretary or is it his secretary?
It's his secretary that basically she's been saving this dirt on him the entire time.
And now he's gone too far.
Him out.
Yeah, he's gone too far, so she rats him out, and now he's like left with nothing.
Yep, so now he tries to go on the run with the mercenaries, basically.
Yeah, now you have this maniacal evil person who has lost all of his power, and it's a really great twist for the story. And
it sure doesn't stop him from trying to storm Jack's place and strangle him to death anyway.
Yeah, we have these mercenaries who are working for Jax who in I believe episode 2
they're working for Morgus. But they're dealing with Jack because they're supplying him weapons. They're
running for Jax at Morgus's behest.
But there's a part
where one of them's like, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. Like, we're not getting paid. Like we lost our weapons. Like, this is fucked. I just want to leave. And there's this great scene in the desert where he like goes to like borderline murder him, the leader.
Yeah, he like forces him like quite violently, like on the ground at knife point to like put a suicide pill in his mouth.
Yeah, it's a really intense scene. And then there's a moment later, like, because that guy ends up dying. And then it's the leader and these two other guys. And after Morgus has been betrayed and like we're running on the last, gas, basically, the leader is like, I'm going with Morgus, like he's my best shot, essentially. And the two other mercenaries are like, you know what, we're done. Like, we haven't gotten paid. Like, we're just fucking done. And the leader's like, okay, if that's your decision. And then he leaves, and then he just turns around and blows them both fucking away. Like, this is a really, really dark story.
You know, one of my favorite little highlights of the of the misery that is Caves of Androzani is all throughout the story we've been following the general's lieutenant, and
I can't remember what his name is, but yeah,
he's been replaced by an android duplicate. So the one that we first meet is actually spying for Jack, and that's how he knows the military's moves in advance. And so then when the Doctor and Perry are captured, they meet up with the real one, and Perry eventually escapes with him.
But he is so fucking bleak. His outlook is so bleak.
He is bleak, but anyway, what I'm getting to is now that he's met up with the general, he supplies the general with the information. They make this big like feint to lure the androids away and then come into the base and whatever, to basically feeding misinformation to the duplicate. But anyway, when he comes down to the
misinformation,
well, when he comes down with the general to attack Jack's base, he just gets killed in the firefight with the androids. Like, there's not a death scene. It's not a plot thing, really. I mean, he's one of the guys in the line that catches a bullet from the androids, and he just falls over. Like, it's not focused on. He doesn't get a close up. He's not
only that, but like, there's a great moment where it reveals that's like, oh yeah, they have this plan to feed Jack misinformation, but he knew that already. Like, he expected that.
Because the general is hiding Lieutenant's guy and Perry in his quarters when he's giving the.
But as soon as they escape, Jack knew that's exactly where they went.
Well, not only did he know that, but the robot has thermal vision, and like, he's talking to the general, and you get this POV shot where he's looking through the walls right at them in the next room, which is great.
There's also a moment that we're kind of jumping around here. But because like there's a part, so the Perry escapes and the Doctor is he pushes her ahead so that they could escape, and he's left behind, and he gets captured by the mercenaries, and they're above the planet, and he in a really cool scene where he breaks out of his like confinements, and he's still handcuffed behind his back, and he uses the like high intensity energy beam that is the like ship battery to open up his handcuffs.
Mm-hmm.
He starts steering the ship and is like locked in, and the mercenary leader like breaks the window and is going to shoot the Doctor in the face, and the Doctor's like, I'm dying, like, I'm poisoned, I have to go to this planet to get the cure.
Crashing this fucking ship.
I'm going to crash this ship into the planet. Like, you can kill me now and we're still going to crash, so I don't care. And it's just
buckle up, Buttercup.
Yeah, it's a really awesome moment.
Oh, it's great, especially from Peter Davison's Doctor, who he can be low-key sassy, but for the most part he's a pretty mild-mannered, agreeable dude. So, but
he will, when he gets intense like this, like, he pulls it off like no one else. Like, this whole story is just like it's a perfect send-off for Peter Davison. Like, we get to see all the different aspects of his character, of the Doctor, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, and I think like, yeah, that crash sequence, that's one of the all-time best cliffhangers.
And we really like, because I know we've heard before Peter Davison's Doctor is kind of an asshole, or like he's not necessarily one of the most favorite Doctors, even though we love him so much. But like, we get to see the extent, the lengths he will go to for his friends, his companions in this story, and it's awesome. It's incredible.
Absolutely. It's been often pointed out, including in the DVD extras, that this is not a story where the Doctor is trying to save the world. He's trying to save Perry, one person.
Not even himself yet, just Perry.
Just Perry.
Because it was an accident. It wasn't like they wound up here and they accidentally touched the thing and now they're dying. Like, that's literally the setup for the story. Everything
it was by total accident, something that seemed like a little inconsequential thing, and it just snowballed and snowballed. Now it's, turn into this horrendous fucking nightmare, basically.
So we now we're entering the final episode, and so we've crash landed on the planet. the military guy ends up meeting up with Jax, with Perry, and they end up Jax and the military guy end up fighting, and he accidentally knocks Jax's mask off, which I was a little worried about watching it too, where he reacts so horrified to Jax's face, and then they end up showing it to us, the audience,
yes.
But they don't show it for like 5 minutes, which is a long time in a half an hour. Oh, not even a 25-minute episode.
Mm-hmm.
And he's so horrified and distracted by his face that Jax pushes him out of the base built into the mountain, and the military guy's just killed by one of those mud eruptions.
Because the mud eruption is going on now too. So I mean, and that's the other thing is, like, you know, while this is going on, Peter Davison is making this mad dash to the cave so he can
milk the mother bat.
Milk the mother bat, and the ground is literally erupting under his feet, and he's being shot at by the mercenaries, and it's probably one of the best action scenes in the classic series.
Especially towards the end, there's this repeated like far away green screen shot with like Peter Davison like real tiny, like working on this cliffside that I don't think looked great. You know what I'm talking about?
It was supposed to be like a cutaway of the tunnel he was going through. Because he's like, oh, you have to go like 200 feet down into the no oxygen zone or whatever.
It just looks really fucking weird, and like
it is a weird shot.
It doesn't make the shot itself doesn't really make any sense in context.
It's like a cartoon where they show you a cutaway of the ground and there's like, you know, lost pennies and a dinosaur skeleton, and like it's like that basically.
Or like imagine like one of the like a Ren and Stimpy episode where it does one of those cutaways to like a hyper realistic, super gross thing.
Yeah,
and it's like that. It's like that where it's like this art style doesn't like what are you showing me? This doesn't look like the rest of the show.
It is a little weird,
but it's okay. It's serviceable. It's a minor complaint.
It's not Underworld or the Claws of Axos or anything where it's just like terrible green screen.
No. It's way better than that. It's just not great.
Yeah, I don't even think it's a problem with the effect. It just looks weird.
It's the like, juxtaposition. Yeah, it doesn't flow, like the shots don't flow into each other well enough to clearly define what's going on. Like,
yeah, because otherwise
with context.
Otherwise, this story is directed like excellently, absolutely excellently. Like,
it's so good.
The camera work is really dynamic. There's a lot of interesting shots, a lot of interesting angles. There's,
I mean, you want to talk about bad special effects when the android Doctor and Perry get shot up by the military, like it looks really bad. But it's okay. It looks bad. I mean, maybe for the 80s it was serviceable TV CG.
It is absolutely fine.
But
they animated the bullet hits basically,
which just look like light gun effects. Like it looks bad, but
sure.
It's fine. It doesn't matter because you understand what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't mean that like as a real complaint or anything. Like, yeah, it doesn't look great, but it doesn't matter because the storytelling's so fucking good. It makes up for it.
Yes. But I still think that the direction is great.
Yes, I agree.
This is the first story directed by Graham Harper. He also directed Revelation of the Daleks in the classic series, and he directed actually quite a few episodes of new series, including great ones like Planet of the Ood. He did Waters of Mars. He did Stolen Earth, Journey's End, Turn Left.
Turn Left is so good.
It's so good. He's been quite a long-serving Doctor Who personality, and for a debut episode, this is really, really strong. Especially because I think a lot of, he clearly has a more filmic sensibility. A more dynamic sensibility than maybe some directors that have very static shots or pans and stuff. So,
side note,
yes,
Turn Left just reminded me of this. We did forget to mention something when we were talking about Winter.
Okay,
which is the weird ethereal creature lurking in the background.
Yeah, that's the Watcher.
Yeah. Oh, I guess we did mention that. Never mind.
Yeah, we talked about the Watcher.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. You're right.
Yep.
My bad. Anyway, okay.
Yeah.
So So we get back. So the military guy is done. At this point, Morgus has been completely ruined. And at this point in the story, he makes it to Jex's base.
Yep.
They fight and kill each other.
I think it's either one of the mercenaries, one of the androids is shooting and hits Jack while he's like holding Morgus's head in an energy beam.
Jax kills Morgus, the leader of the mercenaries, shoots and mortally wounds Jax, who is then the leader of the mercenaries is shot by the lieutenant android.
Yeah,
who runs in and grabs Jax, and Jax's final words are just "hold me" because he's dying.
Yeah, to Perry.
But it's the android who holds him.
Yeah,
and the doctor or Perry escapes.
Well, it's and that's another thing I was going to point out. That's a great shot of Jax slumped against the android, and the android is kind of half bent over and sort of has his arms out, but he's not really holding him, and he just is very robotic, and he just. Like when Jack is gone, he just stands there. He doesn't do anything. He just stands there.
A really heart-wrenching and beautiful juxtaposition of just this real human death against this just robotic, like unfeeling force. Like
it's unfeeling, but I don't even think the robot doesn't even seem like it gets what has happened.
No, it's just doing what it's ordered. The androids are perfect, and there's a great moment when they're talking about actually that android itself. It's like they're not perfect. Like you. If you're really paying attention, you can tell they're not human. Like they're machines. They're these cold, calculating things. They don't have the humanity, and and that's the moment that really shows that.
Yeah, and Jack is an asshole, but he's an asshole that has, he's definitely got his heart on his sleeve in a lot of ways, and he's creepy with Perry, but when she's dying from the Spectrox, like she's. The doctor leaves her with him, and Jack gives him the last oxygen cylinder he has to go get the bat titty, and so like it's almost it's like he's such a black-hearted bastard, but there's that every now and again there's that one gesture.
Morgus is a full-on monster. Jax seems like he was a decent person who was turned
a monster of circumstance.
Yeah. He was, exactly. He was turned into a monster, but he still has some humanity. Mm-hmm. And and they did a really good job with his makeup to make him look horrifying. Like, I mean, maybe
super gross.
Yeah, he looks super gross. It's maybe not to the extent that you would freak out so bad that you would let yourself be pushed into a mud eruption. But
that's a general. Perry freaks out when she sees him too, because he's cradling her when she's dying, and she's just kind of comes around for a second and is like, ah.
But it's effective enough to be like, okay, 80s TV makeup, that works. I accept that.
Well, not just 80s TV makeup, but what would the BBC allow us to show?
No, that's exactly. It's surprisingly well done and effective for what you'd expect from Doctor Who. I mean, it looks Crispy Master is fun. This is horrifying.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. I mean, I think if they did it now, there'd probably be some bone showing, probably a little bit more ooze, but for what it was, it's a pretty good mask.
I mean, it might actually be more upsetting than what you could show on modern TV, because Doctor Who, this is definitely, we're getting to the era of Doctor Who where it's less family and more dark.
Well, I mean, in terms of tone, you're probably right. In terms of the effect, the isolated effect, they could probably go a little farther than that now. But
I mean, of the era too.
So just awful, basically. And I mean, really, all of season 21 has been pretty rough. I mean, I know it might seem the impact of it is lessened because we've broken it up with audios, but things like what the fuck. Revelation of the Daleks, whatever Tegan's last story was, that was pretty harsh.
Yeah. It's
we had Earthshock before, so yeah, it's tough. But anyway, so everyone has killed each other basically. The doctor gets the milk, he comes back, he's carrying Perry as the
only character besides the Doctor and Perry that we have seen that is not dead is Morgus's secretary, who who was a secret good guy all along, and is
I don't know. She's not really good. Like she's a corporate headhunter. She's trying to climb the ladder. She's not doing it out of
at a certain point, I think part of her was like, okay, you're a fucking monster. Like I've saved this.
I didn't get that sense. I got like it seemed to me that she was like, aha, an opportunity to advance myself.
You know what? Just because of the way she handled herself on some of the calls, I could see how you think that. I didn't really get that impression, but I totally understand how you saw that. And yeah, maybe she's kind of a
cold fish.
But not only that, but she's more of a plot device than a full character anyway. So
yeah, she's not a huge part of this, but anyway, yeah. So
everyone
wow,
else is fucking
what the
dead.
hell was that? Everyone else is dead.
And
everyone's dead. Sorry, I've been waiting to say this. Everyone's dead, Dave.
The doctor. Everyone?
Yeah, everyone.
What about Christine?
Dead.
Rimmer.
He's dead too.
The captain.
Everyone's dead, Dave.
They're all dead?
Everyone's dead.
Anyway.
Right. So, speaking of other low-budget BBC productions.
So the doctor rescues Perry and he carries her back to the TARDIS, and on the way he trips and and while he's hallucinating and experiencing winter, he spills half of the queen bat milk, so there's only enough. He brings Perry back to the TARDIS, he cures her, and he collapses on the floor.
Yeah, and at this point, he says, like, it feels different this time. I don't know if I'm going to regenerate or if I'm just going to die.
Yes, which of course, I mean, obviously we know he obviously regenerates in the Colin Baker, and not only that, we know that the season still has another story.
Yeah, it's such a...
I get it. Like the doctor doesn't know that, so it's fine. Like it's fine. It's not like, oh, this is stupid. Fine. It's we know what's going to happen, but
we even get little, like, you know, we get our psychic visions of the Fifth Doctor companions, which I believe is new footage. Like they all came back to have a little, you know,
yes, the weird head swirl.
Well, it's the 80s. That's how you represent psychic phenomena, right?
The Simpsons. We need to fill time, so let's do a repeating gag.
And then
floating head cutaway.
Yeah, okay, so that was fine. I like that because it's like good. You know, it's all that happened when they had Tom Baker regenerate, where he flashed over his companions. The Master laughing over this, I thought, was a weird choice. Winter gives it some context where he was like trying to interfere with the regeneration, but like the story in and of itself, it's like that's weird. Where he's like, die, and it's like, all right.
Yeah. So
hi, villain who wasn't in this story at all. Like, what are you? Then,
this is also maybe one of the best regenerations I've ever seen. Like, just so the Doctor regenerates into Colin Baker. He sits up, which it's so weird. Like, just Colin Baker's hair does not work with, like, seeing him wearing the Fifth Doctor's outfit is just so weird. Like
it's always wrong, isn't it?
We've always seen that. Like that literally always happens. The Doctor regenerates, he's wearing the last Doctor's outfit, and then he changes. But it's never felt this weird, I don't think.
No. Well, I would say that Sylvester McCoy in a silly outfit is
okay. See, I haven't seen
that
one. I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, that's okay. That's true. Although I will say, it always feels a little bit wrong. Although David Tennant could totally have rocked the Eccleston jacket.
Whereas, like it, we'll see what happens. But it was totally at the point in the new season where I was like, I really like Jodie Whittaker in Peter Capaldi's dress shirt and jacket and shit.
I don't like the striped shirt and suspenders. I don't like it at all.
I don't really care for it so far. We'll see what happens.
It reminds me of some of the clown suits that like Sarah Jane would wear, where she had like the weird overalls and stuff.
Yeah, but like I really liked her in Peter Capaldi's outfit, so like we'll see.
Yeah,
where it's
get that bitch some business casual, and we'll talk.
It was the opposite of this, but anyway, so he sits up, and Perry's like, "What's going on, Doctor?" And he's like, "Change, and not a moment too soon." And it's like just, it's almost this ominous end point. Like it's so good. It's so good.
I'm not sure I read that into it, but I do like that it has it's definitely a bit of a portent of Colin Baker's tenure. He's very verbacious when he he uses a lot of multi-syllabic words with Perry for no reason. When he first sits up, and then the whole like change not too soon thing, and it's a guy who can be blustery and a little overdone, but also with a bit of edge.
Well, we've said how I mean, Davison has a bite to him. Like, he's very direct.
And yeah, it was just Davison is like, we mentioned this with Winter, but he's sassy, but he's like a father who's just kind of getting sick of his children.
Yes, but like, but like to hear Baker sit up and say that, it's like it's such an abrupt change and very effective. It's like, this is a different Doctor.
Yeah, it's immediate contrast.
Whereas like every other regeneration, there's been an era of mystery and almost like wonder, except maybe like the first Doctor's regeneration, because obviously it was such a big thing and the companions are so off-put by it immediately. Whereas like, yes, that continues to happen, but never to that extent. Whereas this is like, oh, I feel like something different is about to happen. Like, yeah, and it's such a good ending and such a strong close to Peter Davison that I don't think any other Doctor has met so far.
No, and again, I think the other best regeneration story is War Games, and in War Games, you don't even see John Pertwee. You don't see John Pertwee like until Spearhead. You don't see him at all, and he spends half a Spearhead being completely out of whack
in bed.
In bed and stealing wheelchairs, and
that's when we see his tattoo.
Yeah,
the one time. Yeah,
awesome tattoo. Yeah, we get that hot shower scene with John Pertwee. So yeah, I love Caves of Androzani. It is fantastic.
It's so fucking good.
It's full of really tough stuff, and it puts the characters through hell personally. It's not just that you have a dark story where everybody's dead by the end of it. Like, the Doctor and Perry are put through the fucking ringer here. They get it with both barrels.
Yeah, it's a dark story, but everyone's dead, but you don't feel bad about that.
I guess not.
This cast is like pure asshole.
Yes, but I mean, it's you're more concerned about the Doctor and Perry trying to get out of this fucking hellhole, you know? So like it works in a way that, like, if this was a new show with no Doctor and Perry, I don't know if I'd like it, because I don't like these people. But when you put characters you do like and they're basically stuck in this situation and they have something horrible like the Spetrox poisoning happening to them, like, you know, and I really love the way that they get progressively worse and worse as the story goes on. They get more blisters, more gross makeup. Like Perry is not coherent at all. The Doctor, like the last desperate run to the TARDIS as the mud quake's happening, and the Doctor can barely even walk while he's carrying her. Like, these all just they make the danger feels real. Like we were saying, the tactics of defeat maybe did not so much, but
the whole cast pushes their abilities to the limit in this story. Like, they're everyone's giving an incredible performance.
Oh, absolutely, 110%.
The special effects are pushing the budget to the limit. Besides,
they really look like they spent some money on this one.
Literally, like, besides that like, I mean, it's just one shot that they cut to multiple times that we talked about with the bad green screen.
The bad green screen.
Everything else looks so good, though.
Other than the stupid monster, but.
I mean, the monster's fine. It's a Doctor Who monster. It's a classic Doctor Who monster. It doesn't look any worse or any better than any other generic monster.
I will say, like, special effects hiccups aside, the only thing in the story that actually bugs me when I'm watching it is when Morgus will occasionally do these asides and talk directly into the camera. It's like, don't do that. That's weird. Don't do it. But
his stupid ponytail.
It's a stupid ponytail. But yeah, no, like the production value is fantastic. And I was gonna point out, like, the music specifically. I don't have a lot of praise for Doctor Who music in general, but the music in this one is great. It's atmospheric. It's exciting. There's a lot of strings. It's so much better than the usual farty synth noises that we get on Doctor Who. And even like when the piece when the Doctor's regenerating, you can hear the bell clanging in the background. Like, it's perfect.
It's so good. This is so
good. What a great send-off.
We'll see what happens, because we have
in our actual season finale. Can you fucking believe that?
Oh, I guess technically we only have one more, right? Or no, they show the regeneration in the movie, right? It's just stupid.
Yeah, they do. It's weird that they decided to put Caves as the second to last story of the season, because this, like, for a finale, like, this is so momentous. It's such a high, like,
yeah.
I mean, you would have people coming back next season for sure after that. Like, holy shit.
This is the best regeneration story we've seen.
Yes. And it's such
a good story. Like, it's not just the regeneration. The story itself is so good. Like, this is like, again, this is another reason why it reminded me of Earthshock. Is it's a fantastic story. It's such a strong moment for the series. It's so impactful. There's really no misfire. Like,
you can't see me, but I'm nodding as you're talking.
Like, this is.
And yet for some reason they didn't make this the season finale, and they put Colin Baker's first story and they kind of just put it on the end of the season as a little appendix for some reason. And I think the idea was that they wanted to give people time to get used to the new Doctor before they went away for the break. But like, I don't think it was necessary to do that. And frankly, not to put too fine a point on it, that's not anywhere near as good.
10th Planet was not a season finale. Have any of the other regenerate have we had regenerations as a finale so far?
Yes.
Like,
oh yeah, Planet of Spiders, Legopolis, Androzani.
Androzani's not a finale.
Yes. Oh, fuck my life. Planet of Spiders, Legopolis, War Games. Sorry, those are all season finales.
Okay.
The only ones that aren't are 10th Planet and this one. And 10th Planet at least came early in the season, so like
So 6 is a finale too, then?
Well, you don't really see 6's regeneration. We'll get to that.
Really? Okay, fine.
Not really.
Doctor
Who's weird. So, but I mean, like, at least when Hartnell turned into Troughton, it was still like the third story of the season, something like that. So like, you had a lot of season left. So it didn't feel as superfluous as coming to this big crescendo with Davison and then kind of just going with Colin Baker at the very end.
What's it called?
The Twin Dilemma. Yeah, it's well, you know.
We'll see next week.
Yeah.
So hands down, fantastic story. Like, highly recommend. And
it's highly recommended, and boy oh boy were they setting the Colin Baker's first story up for failure.
I'm going to miss Peter Davison so much.
Well, you'll be pleased to know that we have some outstanding audios that have come out after we were past that point in his timeline. So we do have a few that we can swing around and get.
Really? You've listened to them already?
No. No, I said it's fantastic that.
Oh, that we have
more. The situation is good that we have more.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, I guess for next week we have actually another audio, because let's fucking be real. Big Finish shits out audios like a fire hose.
Do we have any box sets or anything like that to catch up on, or we?
Yeah, no, we got some newer releases to catch up on.
Well, no. I meant box like collections.
Not big.
We've had a long series of collections recently.
Yeah, no, we just so next week we have the season premiere of the Early Adventures season 5, which came out last month, but we're slow, so we're getting to it now. It's the Dalek Occupation of Winter. It is it's a Vicky and Steven season, so hopefully that's good. Last time we saw Steven with Daleks, it was really good. So
it was really, he was pushing around a Dalek in a war-torn hellscape.
It was great. And then on TV we unfortunately have the Twin Dilemma, so get ready for that morning after come down.
Then we have do we have a long string of audios with Colin Baker?
Okay.
Do we have a string of audios? We have some.
No, we're going TV for 4 or 5 weeks.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, most of season 22 we're gonna kind of just do back to back. It's interesting.
That's a little disheartening, because that sounds like we don't want to set things in here.
Well, okay, look, it's not that, but it's more. Here's the thing: the first 5 Doctors all have definitive endpoints, and Big Finish has to work within those confines. 6, 7, and 8. I mean, we know what their eventual end is, but yeah, it's pretty open ended. They can continue their timelines forward and forward and forward. They like 6, 7, and 8. 6 is basically the earliest Doctor that Big Finish can really make their own and really develop their own storylines, their own character arcs. So in a sense, I think like Big Finish is probably more interested in pushing 6 forward.
I guess the real question is, how much of Perry do we get before we get a new companion and the audios go crazy?
The answer to that is complicated, and I'll leave it at that. But
well, I'm excited. I know historically people do not like the Colin Baker seasons, and but they love him on audio, so that's really exciting.
Yes.
But I'm excited. Like, Davison was great. I mean, we literally got 2 seconds of Colin Baker, but they were very exciting. So I'm ready to be disappointed on TV.
Well, yeah, I hope you enjoy being disappointed then. But no, we like I said, we've got a long run of audios for 6, 7, and 8. Because again, they can do pretty much whatever they want with them, because they can just keep going forward and forward and forward. And as long as eventually we link up with it, like there's not really any endpoint set for those. So it's a totally like wide open playground. Well, shit, and it's gonna be interesting, because this is gonna be kind of the first Doctor that we've covered that can be basically continue indefinitely. So
yeah, and well, at a certain point, because like this is the first Doctor we've also gotten to where the TV output is so slight
compared to the
like every other Doctor. Like, there is a shit ton of Big Finish, but Colin Baker has 2 full seasons of TV, right?
Yes, and then nothing. So yeah. I mean, just to put this in context, my timeline list of 6 Doctor, I have 144 entries. And we will be finished with TV at entry number 45. So.
Wow. Well, I hope it's not like the Richter syndrome arc then.
Generally, I think most people feel like that one went on too long, but lots of time to fail. So don't worry. When you
say those numbers, are those stories or episodes?
Stories.
Oh my god!
Some of them. I mean, bear in mind, some of these were short trips, or
Okay. We'll see how it goes. We might have to switch some stuff up, but I'm incredibly excited. Because especially from the teases and from what I remember us briefly talking about, like, we're gonna get into some really interesting audio shit between 6 and 7, and I am pumped.
I am very glad to hear it. Just don't let TV crush the life out of you.
I mean, but this is also, I'm super excited because even if it's bad, this is the era of Doctor Who that influenced jokes and memes and shit for a long time. So like,
well, there you go. So all right, well, anyway, yeah, so next week, Dalek Occupation of Winter. I don't know how you can occupy a season, but yeah, Twin Dilemma, so pray for us.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, okay.
All right, bye, Kate.